South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza. If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
Welcome in, everybody. It is Football Frenzy on a Friday. This is Sports by the Book, live from the South Point Hotel and Casino, 5 days a week. You can find us. And on Fridays, it is a very special episode, all football-based. And if last night was an appetizer to the rest of the weekend, we've got a lot of great games coming up here. I'm Alex White, alongside the two men who run the book upstairs. It is Chris Andrews, Sportsbook Director, and Vinny Magliulo. Looking forward to talking with you guys through these games. Another semifinal game tonight. 6 wildcard games coming up in the NFL. But let's start with last night. Miami gets it done in a shootout. That is the one scenario we didn't really talk about, but they found a way. They got the win. They covered as a 3.5 point favorite, and the game went over. Chris, how was that for you guys for the books?
Not good. It wasn't terrible. I mean, it was
But Ryan Grounding, our GM, called me about 40 minutes before the game. And I said, well, we're going to need Miami. So, I mean, it was just one of those things. And then just a ton of Ole Miss money, a ton of Miami money showed up in like that last 40 minutes.
Wow.
I was using the number 3. I didn't want, most guys had 3 with juice. We don't do that. I kind of didn't want to go to 3.5. I was already sitting pretty vulnerable on the game falling 3. So I didn't want to move off the 3 because, of course, if it comes 3, it's just a tie. But as it wasn't great. But it was a great game. I got a little funny story about that, too, that I might as well tell real quick. So we had a dinner last night in honor of my Uncle Jack, who I've talked about many times. There were 7 of us at dinner. Frank Toady, one of Michael's partner for a long time, and was dear friend of my Uncle Jack. He hosted the dinner. We ate at Michael's. Frank had Miami, and I need Mississippi. So I'm sitting there, and I tell Frank, I said, Frank, I really can't lose tonight. I says, because I'm rooting for you. You're hosting the dinner. Of course I'm rooting for you. What kind of person would I be to not root for you? But if you lose, my numbers always look really good tomorrow. So, and he laughed. He says, yeah, you're in the catbird seat here. There's nothing. And by the way, Michael is in Ireland, so there's nothing Michael can say to me either. He's not going to call me for losing. We didn't lose that much. He says, he's not going to call you. So you're in a no-lose situation. Said, yeah, great. And so we enjoyed dinner, and so we lost, but it wasn't so bad.
Of course, right after that, Frank talked to the slot manager, and
right.
he felt real good.
Yeah. Frank looked at the figures from New Year's Day. He says, "We'll be okay, kid. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. Good game. Good way to start the playoff weekend, right, Chris?
It really was a great game.
I mean, you think about it. You start Thursday night, and we go right through Monday night, and we'll break down all the games. But what a terrific betting weekend! And as Chris and I have mentioned all along, these games, these college playoff games, Alex, you book them because people bet them just like the NFL playoff
Absolutely.
Games. Terrific. So great action.
And by the way, so sitting next to me was our dear friend Jeff Whitelaw, who had the game on his phone. So we watched the first half, and then we were going to dinner. Dinner's 6:30. We watched the first half. We go to dinner, and Jeff's sitting next to me, and all night I'm leaning one way, and Frank had it on his phone too, and. And very briefly, I'll tell you, we were there for 3.5 hours, just telling stories about my Uncle Jack and all of our lives in this racket, and that was altogether just a terrific night.
So you guys were there through the end of the game.
We saw the end of the game right there. Phone. Yeah.
Fourth quarter, very exciting. I
mean,
was.
Yeah.
The lead changes in that one. Overall, it ended up Miami with 459 total yards, 268 passing, 191 rushing. The Rebels, 398 total yards. The big thing was third downs.
Right.
The Rebels just 2 of 10.
It's really amazing Mississippi was even in the game, really.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah. I mean, they had said that after the first half, right? It felt like it should have been a much bigger margin, but they hung around.
Yeah. Well, Miami, you couldn't put them away. They were dominated the time of possession, particularly in the first quarter, and they were only up 3-0. Then the next thing you know, they're down 7-3.
Yep.
I tell you what, I credit both teams, both staffs, but even more so Mississippi with all the distractions that have surrounded those players in particular, and a lot of the coaches. Of course, some of the coaches couldn't even be there last night that were there the week before, which we could probably do a show on that. But but it also speaks to the unique atmosphere that college sports, particularly college football, is in right now, and but credit those players for getting as far as they did and putting forth the effort that they did. So, to me, both teams won in the game of life. That's for sure.
Well, Vinny, now we have one team that we know for sure. We'll know tonight who is going to be taking on Miami, and it is in Miami. So, what do you have hypothetical lines that you would make right now, whether it was Indiana or Oregon against Miami?
So, but I want to qualify this, Alex, because when I give, I'll give a number. Of course, now people are going to say, "Hey, Vinny, this morning you said this, and after the game tonight." Let's remember this: tonight's game is going to greatly impact it because it's what people have seen most recent, right? It'll be recency bias. And Chris and I go through this every conference championship Sunday. In fact, Chris on the one of the props is projected Super Bowl lines that you can bet on. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So, and again, this is not a cop. It's not. I'm just saying that. What are some of the factors that are going to impact it as well? So I'll give a projected number now. So, for instance, Indiana, right? I would make them about 4.5. This is a home game for Miami. Now, even though the ticket allocation is going to be probably 50-50, I mean, you're talking about Oregon fans really going from Oregon or the Great Northwest and a lot wherever they are to Atlanta, and then 10 days later having to go down to Miami. Number one, from the players' standpoint, players are not traveling from Miami. They're home. They're there this morning, right up until the championship game a week from Monday. Indiana probably going to, I would say, have more support from a fan base standpoint. I would make Oregon about 2.5 in the game right now. Now let's see how the game plays out. If it's a game like last night, back and forth, that's going to impact it. Injuries or potential injuries could certainly impact it as well. So let's see how it plays out. But right now, on paper, I do give Miami a couple of points because it is truly a home game. The players are not traveling, and that's the biggest thing to me, Chris.
I give him a slight edge, but my numbers are pretty much the same as Vinny's. I actually have Indiana a little higher. I'd have Indiana 5. And I have Oregon 2.5. But he makes a good point. I don't think the players. I mean, because we're talking like 10 days between games. So the travel's not going to affect the players. It just depends on. I think the crowd will be there for Indiana. Yeah. I mean, that Indiana has really traveled well, and Oregon always travels well. So I think the crowd. Just the way I tell you the truth, I gave it 0.5 point. I think that's enough.
Okay, so somewhere between that, we're thinking is
we're
probably
thinking
what the
4,
books
4.5.
will use between half and,
right there.
and
But
2.
of course, let's see what it looks like tonight.
Sure.
Right.
If Oregon blows out Indiana,
big difference.
Well, right.
then that's going to be a little higher. If Indiana blows out Oregon, that's going to be a little higher.
Yeah.
Great point.
You have to see what happens, what transpires in the game tonight, particularly how both teams perform, the winner in particular performs, and how both teams come out from a health standpoint. And let's face it, we know going into tonight, Indiana's the healthier team. And we'll we start talking about the game, we'll realize that, particularly, Oregon in the offensive backfield and at wide receiver where they've got some pretty significant injuries.
So I think that was a great explanation from both of you, basically saying if Indiana wins this game by 3 or 4 points, that's kind of where the line is going to end up. If Oregon gets the upset here, you're going to be looking at maybe a bigger favorite over Miami next week, right? Because we need to adjust from this game.
Or if Indiana blows them out, Alex, to Chrissy's point, it's certainly going to be higher than what my number would be, than 4, no doubt.
Well, the thing, and I was listening to Joe Fortenbaugh this morning. By the way, on ESPN, if there's one guy to listen to, it's Joe. So Joe was saying, one of your best bets right now might be to make that Oregon bet. Because we're all kind of in the same ball. It might be 2, 2.5, 3. And he used 2.5. I guess they use DraftKings at ESPN. He says, because if Oregon wins, they're probably going to look pretty good.
Yeah.
And he says, if they don't win, then you just void your bet. You get your money back. So it doesn't, it's not like you're stuck with a bet. If Indiana wins the game, you get your money back. So I thought Joe had a good point. And that might be one way to look at it.
That is a solid point because I put a little bit on Oregon beating Miami exacta yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, 7-1, I believe it was here. But that would have been a smarter way to do it.
Well, not everybody has that, though.
Right.
And not everybody will refund it if it doesn't.
Not everybody will refund it, too.
So that and
South Point will.
No,
I can't speak for anybody else.
You have to, the caveat is, what's the stipulation?
Right.
Game must take place, otherwise money's refunded, or all bets are action. That's a big caveat.
You think so? Yeah.
I'm just saying, right, buddy? That's why at the South Point, when it comes to the Super Bowl props, you've got the house rules,
Yeah.
and we'll get, we fast forward a little bit, but there's also stipulations, for the props as well. So there's quite a few things that go into it.
And I love when guys will text me and they'll say, "Hey, should this, do you know what they did?" I said, "Buddy, I got enough trouble running the South Point. I can't, you got to ask them.
Yeah.
I got my hands full as it is."
Yeah, can you read these
I love those
rules and
those
stipulations for me?
phone calls. When I had this and I had that, I can't. But really, when did you bet it? Well, I bet it. A month ago, when I was in Atlantic City. Well, what are you calling me for?
Yeah.
Well, one of my first events here. So I got hired. This will be 10 years for me, by the way. So we had like the Masters coming up. It was like one of the first ones. I got hired in February. Right after the Super Bowl. We got the Masters coming up in April. And we had some guys who were, took bets on, and then they weren't going to start. So, I just checked with Michael. I says, what's the policy? Because a lot of places with future books like that, you bet it, your guy's going to start. You're out of luck. He says, are you out of your mind? The guy didn't start. We're giving him his money back. Are you crazy? I said, okay, sir, I got it. And that's... Really, that's why we, come here on a Tuesday afternoon. That's why the whole joint is full, because Michael Gaughan does things like that.
Yeah, that's a good book that you want to be betting at for sure.
Yeah.
For everybody who is watching us live, please jump in. Yesterday we had a poll question. We gave you alt lines, whether Miami would win by 9.5, Ole Miss with the upset and cover a number as a favorite, an alt over and an alt under, and that alt over did get there. It was a pretty good plus price. I think about 15% of our live viewers did pick that one. So curious if anybody put any money on that. We have the same thing going for this Peach Bowl here. So let us know your thoughts on this one. Indiana by 10.5, Oregon by 3.5, over 52.5, and under 40.5 is 2-1 here at the South Point. So these props available here. Curious what everyone thinks on that.
Well, let me just tell you what we got. And I'm not a totals guy, but I could tell you last night's game went over. We had a lot of over money going. And you could see this game because we put it on our parlay card. And I usually don't put college totals on a card. But I did this week. So on the ties win, I used 47. On the half-point card, I used 47.5. And that was a pretty solid number. Now, if you look at yesterday's game going over, what do parlay players play? Over. Right. They don't zigzag, under, over, over. So right now, I think when I left upstairs, we're at 49.5. So that thing's moved like 2 points. Mm-hmm. And we're not the only ones. I mean, the market, we're trying to, Ashley's up there. I told her, stay ahead of the market, but the market, I believe, is mostly 49 right now. That's what I'm seeing. Yeah. And when we're at 49.5. Mm-hmm. So we got a pretty big decision on the under. So you gave those alternate totals. I hope the under 40.5 covers comfortably. Let me just
there you go. So come get that one. But you kind of just told everybody if you still did like the under and missed that, you could come get a parlay card and tie it up with a few wild card games today.
Listen, I can tell them, I cannot tell them. Most of the guys know it.
Yes, that's very true. Well, I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with where this is being played, right? And we'll get to wild card weekend where all 6 NFL games are going to be outdoors. A lot of weather conditions. Yes. And some of those don't have to worry about that with these college football playoff games because this is in Atlanta, Georgia here, Oregon, Indiana, the Peach Bowl, a rematch from week 6. And right now you're at 3, Indiana 3, Chris, total, as you mentioned, has bumped up 49.5. But you have gotten a lot of two-way action, right? Because you opened 4.
Well, we did open 4. My first move was to 4.5. So we had, and I didn't just move it willy-nilly. I mean, we got bet. So I went to 4.5. Boy, that was like the trigger. They took the 4.5. They took the 4. Well, this morning they took the 3.5. I mean, for, big numbers. So right now, I just told you I need the under. I need Indiana and under. So if I,
wow.
7-3 would be a thing of beauty. That put me right on the 4. That's no good. 10-3 would be a thing of beauty.
Yeah, I remember right before we came down, Chris. We were going over.
One of my big guys.
Somebody came in and said, maybe we just went to 3. So there it is.
Feels like a little bit of Joe's versus pros now, Vinny. All the public now is loving this Kirk Cignetti story in Indiana. And, of course, Mendoza, very likable quarterback there, just won the Heisman.
Yeah.
but the pros are seeing value there with the points.
Well, I think, and people know, and again, credit bettors today, and Chris and I oftentimes talk about this. Even the Joes today are much more educated, and you've got the two quarterbacks in this game that, and Oregon still hasn't committed to coming back next year or not, but both quarterbacks figure to be the top. We know certainly Mendoza is going to be the first quarterback taken. Now, is that with the number one pick by the Raiders? Highly probable, right? Oregon's quarterback is considered to be the second best quarterback. Some people actually have him even better than Mendoza in NFL circles. But so people like that and they follow that as well. So both teams very solid under center. I think when you look at Oregon's last game to get here, their defense really stepped up, and I think that surprised a lot of folks because the school of thought, predominant school of thought, was Oregon's going to win a shootout. But credit their defense, and of course Indiana, who's just been probably the most consistent team since the regular season concluded, and they beat Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. Really. And they're the healthier team here too. So I think that the three, there'll be some support for Indiana between now and kickoff. Of course, people have the benefit of the fact that this is a rematch of a game that took place on October 11th at Oregon, where really, Indiana won that game by 10, but they were pretty much in control for the majority of that game until. Of all things, when Mendoza threw a pick six in that game,
he did, and I think they had 3 turnovers for Oregon, as well.
But the pick six could have rattled them, and but it didn't, right? And that game toggled between Oregon 7 and 7.5, okay, and it went back and forth. It opened 7.5. They took every time it went to 7.5, and Chris oftentimes talks about what who do you need in the game? Well, here's what we don't need, and it starts with you don't need a key number to fall, right? Whether it's 3, 4, or 7, or 10. But that game went back and forth. It was a great betting game. As I mentioned, I would say that people do realize also that Indiana's the healthier team here. Jordan Davison is out again, the running back for Oregon. He accounted for 15 touchdowns. Now that's a lot, but they didn't have him last week either. So you probably but you've got a kind of a two-headed monster, with Hill and Whittingham. But it's a pretty significant loss, I think, for the Ducks here, Chris. Without having him against which. One of, if not the best defense certainly in the tournament, in the playoffs.
I looked at my numbers a little more closely yesterday, both pro and college, and I think originally I said I liked Indiana 4, and the more I look at it, I think 3 is probably the right number. Now, what's the difference, 3 and 4? What's the difference? Huge. It's a big difference. But I think right now we are at I think a low point, and I think the public will come in and bet Indiana at the 3. They are the story for this year. And I'm looking back, we talked about that Oregon game, Indiana going up to Oregon, and I thought, they did win by 10, but to me, they controlled that game. I mean, that was Indiana's game the whole way. That was a game this year when we knew exactly how good Oregon was. And I go back last year. I'm not going to drop a name, but you know who I'm talking about. When they went into UCLA, this was like week 2 or 3, I want to say. And they were like, and they opened, I'm trying to remember, I think they opened like about a 4-point favorite, something like that. And I texted a friend of mine who was a UCLA grad. I said, does this look right? And he told me then, he says, I would not bet UCLA. And they won, I forget what we closed the number, but all the money showed on Indiana. And they won by $1 million, whatever it was. I mean, they absolutely. That's when we knew last year that they were going to be among the better teams in the country, and they were. They lost late in the year, but still were in the playoffs. And then this year, when they went up to Oregon and beat them, then we said, holy cow, this team is 100% legit. And, even going into the Ohio State game, they proved then that they stood toe-to-toe. And they won. They were a little lucky, of course, but they won. But they stood toe-to-toe with a team that I thought was clearly the best.
Right.
So now here we are. And listen, it's just a great story. No matter what, even if they lose tonight, it's a great, great story what they've done at Indiana.
No, it definitely is. And people are talking about this being the best coaching job and turnaround from Kirk Cignetti, not even just in this sport, but just in the history.
Hard to argue.
It's
really
amazing.
is.
And what's interesting to note is let's remember this, and because we're constantly part of our job is to be in look ahead mode. This coaching staff's intact for years to come. Every not only is Cignetti under an extension, but he's got his staff.
Yep.
And with all the movement that's going on obviously we know in the NFL gets a lot of it. But with all the movement that's going on, we talk about the transfer portal for players. There's a transfer portal for coaches going on. Let's face it. Look at it's one of the best jobs in the country is to be a college football coach these days, and then get fired and get multiple paychecks.
Ask Pete Carroll. A pro coach getting fired ain't so bad either.
Yeah.
So,
but this coaching staff is led by Kurt Cignetti is going to be intact for quite some time, and of course will his coordinators and assistants get approached and be able to move on, I'm sure. But the reality is certainly for next year, because this team is better this year than they were a year ago. As Chris pointed out, I mean, defensively, we talked about it all year, especially after that Oregon game, Chris. This team is better than they were a year ago, and they stand to be certainly at or near the top when it comes to looking at the 26 season.
Josh Hoover from TCU.
Right. He's already signed. Yeah.
He's already signed. I think that is a great pickup. I mean, each year kind of just.
Well, the other thing, like Vinny was saying about the coaches, I mean, that's the thing when these guys negotiate. What's my budget for assistant coaches?
Right.
Yeah. And I think Indiana realized, listen, Cignetti's the coach right now. But you better have some good assistants, and they're going to try to keep them. And I think that's something that kind of gets overlooked. What is in your budget? And as a head coach, what's in my budget, to go out and hire, the best staff that I can.
I think that is where the SEC falters a little bit. I think the Big Ten is one of the best in assembling a staff, right, around the head coach and their coordinators and everything that goes into it. But so, yeah, I mean, they're going to be paid a lot, both offensive and defensive coordinator, to keep them there in Indiana, which I can understand. I'm on under first half, 23.5. You might even get a 24 now with this number moving up there, which would be huge, I think. I kind of do like Oregon. I've 3.5, 4, might have missed the best of the number. I think you might have 4 on a parlay card around town somewhere. So you could jump in.
Yeah, I know one place that has it.
I just, to your point, I mean, yes, it was tough, and Indiana did win the trenches, but Oregon still got the talent, and now they know what to expect, right? Yeah. So all that time,
it's
a lot
4
against
and a ties
them,
win, so it's 4.5.
4 and a ties win.
So it's now you got to match it up with at least 2 other things. The total might be okay too.
Yeah, very true.
But listen, like Michael's not going to have to sell the plane. We'll be okay.
We'll be open tomorrow.
Yeah. So.
But you're staying. You have nothing, no giveaways for your best bets, which you've been doing throughout the year. But you're right there on your number. So
yeah, we'll get to the pros in a minute. I did a little more work on the pros, and I have 2 sides I kind of like. Well, we'll get to those.
Okay, should be a great game here. Cannot fault anybody. A lot of difference of opinions here in this one. I'm excited. I really am. I think this rematch will be a really, really good one here. I'm hoping a little bit boring start. You are too. You're hoping a boring game, but
I'm hoping a boring finish. Yeah. Everything, yeah.
Remember, jump in with our poll question there, because we are going to switch it over. We do have one coming for you. with the NFL. So we got to close that one out here soon. But let's switch it over to the wild card weekend. Used to be super wild card weekend, not officially anymore, but it feels like it. We've got 6 really good games starting off tomorrow. With the spot that usually the Houston Texans are in, but Carolina's got that spot this time.
A lot of guys blew that bet. It was like a standard practice.
Yes. I think undefeated it was until this year, right? But Carolina Panthers hosting the Rams, another rematch. Both these games on Saturday, a rematch. We've already seen them once this week. Now, Chris, I'll let you start it off. I know you do like the Rams.
Yeah.
I do as well. I'm not going to make an official bet.
Oh, no, I like the Panthers.
I mean, you do like the Panthers. I'm sorry. You like the dog.
Yeah.
Catching 10.5 here at the South Point, total 46.5. I didn't make it an official one, but I'm with you. So
this is going to be definitely one of my plays. And again, we had dinner last night with some of the sharper guys in town, and we all kind of agreed. And listen, you can win or lose any bet, God knows. But I can tell you this: the smart money is on Carolina. Now, they may be waiting for an 11 because I think there's a hell of a chance you're going to get there. Because right now, I don't see much slowing down this Ram train.
Yes.
But I'm definitely on Carolina, and, we do the show right now. So I put me down plus 10.5. I like Carolina plus the 10.5. Listen, that's just a lot of points to cover on the road in a playoff game. Teams that saw each other only a few weeks ago, Again, no knocking of the Rams. I mean, it's a great offense, defense, coaching staff, everything. But, I think the coaching staff for Carolina, they got Bryce Young. He's definitely improved over the course of the year. I think this coaching staff has done a really good job. And, that's I'm going to go with them. I think they hang in there.
Another example, when you look at Carolina, right, and I think this is going to be more predominant as time moves on, and they started the season slow. September is a preview for next football season. September is really more of a preseason for a lot of teams. Think about how slow Carolina started. Think about how, and we'll get to Houston, who started 0-3. The reality is this: majority of teams are not going to play their regulars during the preseason, which is probably why we're going to, get to even 18 games at some point too. So September is, let's see what we have, and let's that's going to be a bit of a preseason. And Belichick was notorious for this, but when you look at this game, in the November 30th game where the Rams were a 10-point favorite, Bryce Young outplayed Stafford. Stafford threw 2 interceptions. I think he had a pick 6 as well.
I think he did.
And he fumbled. A lost fumble. Bryce Young, he threw for 3 touchdowns with 0 fumbles lost or interceptions in that game. The other part for the Rams, though, on their side is Devontae Adams has missed the last few games. He had 2 touchdowns in the game on November 30th. We're going to need the Panthers in this game. But I agree with Chris. I think he brings up a key point, that the fact that this is now sat at 10.5 for multiple days, that more seasoned bettors who are looking to bet the dog are going to wait for 11 or possibly more.
A couple notes that I do have on this game, because the Rams, we talking about them being one of the best teams in the league for a while now, but defensively, over the last 6 games, they've given up an average of 29.5 points.
Yes.
Cardinals were the only team they held under 20.
Mm-hmm.
They did that twice
Yes.
in that 6-game span, so everybody else was kind of scoring at will.
Yeah.
And to Vinny's point there, total yards, if you look at it in that first matchup, 379 for the Rams, 358. A lot of people are talking about the 7.4 yards per play for the Rams, but the 5.8 for Carolina. 8.8 yards per pass, though, for Bryce Young, and they did control the clock, 35 and some change to 24 for time of possession.
Yeah.
So might just be a trickier matchup for Carolina. A lot of play action for the Rams offense when they're doing good, and the Panthers are really good against that. So I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I did want to mention that too.
Weather, Alex, right? Go ahead.
A lot of weather.
Yeah.
A lot of weather.
We should touch on the weather for these games, because as you mentioned, there's weather in in several parts of the country.
Several. And I mean, just some trends. And I know a lot of people have talked about this, so might as well throw it out on our program too. But all 6 wildcard games are outdoors. Since 2004, outdoor wildcard games, 49 and 23 to the under. That is 68%.
Is that what? Say that again?
Wildcard games that are played outdoors since 2004. So we've got a pretty good sample size here.
Yeah.
49 and 23 to the under.
Oh, I hope that carries over to the college game tonight. I don't think it's relevant, but
Hey, those are two really good
but I'll take
defenses.
it. Yeah.
I mean, and the tempo too. I don't see that one going quite like that Ole Miss game.
No, I don't think so either.
But totals that are over 41, even higher for the under, 42 and 14 to the under. So this one's sitting at 46.5. A lot of people expecting the Rams just to score at will, but we'll see. Carolina's also 8-0 ATS, coming off a straight up loss. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Packers versus the Bears here now, mostly across the board. Packers are a 1-point favorite, total 44.5. Vinny, this one's bounced all over the place. Pick 'em, Bears won. Yeah. Now we're back here at Packers won.
So both of these teams have played each other recently. Remember their games, because obviously they're in the same division, so they have to play each other twice, and their games were late this year, and there was only a game between them. So they played each other twice within the last month. And both teams won and covered on their home turf. December 20th, the Bears, they won their game at home as 1.5-point favorites, 22-16. Love was hurt in that game. That was the game that he had to come out of. And, of course, at December 7th, the Packers, as 6.5-point favorites, won 28-21. I think Love and Jacobs are a full. They're go. They're healthy for the Packers, and they're certainly going to need them. I think the Bears get some receivers and some defensive players back as well, because they were not 100% for both of those games. So, hence the game's basically a pick 'em, right, Chris? And I think it's even though the Packers were almost a touchdown favorite when they met a month ago, but far different situation now, because both teams with key components coming back, buddy.
I think if you look at the end of the season, I mean, it just seems to me the Packers did not finish on a high note. You look at their last 3 games, and I'm just looking, use game power score, which I explained to you how that works. I'm not going to go into it too much here, but I'm looking at their last 4 games. They were under their projections for the final scores, for their margins. That's a big caveat to me. I mean, something you have to look at. Just the way they finished. And I know we had Kaluch on the other day. Was that yesterday?
Yep.
God, these days are all running together. He doesn't like LaFleur. We all love Ben Johnson. What a great job he's done. And LaFleur, I think his job's a little bit on the line. Maybe not in this game, but as we get to the end of the season, and it's a little different in Green Bay, of course, because they really don't have an owner. So sometimes it makes it a little bit iffy on who does the firing and who do you have to go to, blah, blah, blah. But I think his job is a little bit on the line. And I look at the Bears, and I think from the Bears standpoint, and I'm looking at like where I started them and where I got them. I mean, this is just a team that, had not a great beginning, not even a great middle. But once they kind of figured out how to use Caleb Williams. And again, I think a lot of that credit goes to Ben Johnson, not to Caleb himself, too. This team really, I thought, caught fire isn't the right word, but, showed some improvement. And I think right now they should have been the favorite in this game. Now, this is not going to be one of my official plays. It's too close to a pick 'em. But I thought the Bears should be about a 1.5-point favorite. And that's what my numbers came to. Probably if you can get a decent money line, taking plus a dime maybe, which maybe you could get somewhere. I don't think you could do that right now. But if there's more money shows on Green Bay and get plus 110, to me that would be worth a play. But I don't see that in the market right now.
It's a tough handicap because I think both of these teams have kind of been wearing masks, right? And which one's the real team and who's going to show up here? Because I think the Bears have been pretty fortunate. They lead the league in takeaways. Can they sustain that? I think the Packers were pretty dominant in both the first two matchups against them, and I think they were pretty fortunate in the second one. Jordan Love goes out with a concussion, of course, and find a way to come back in that one. But to your point, I mean, they have not been the same defense since Micah Parsons was injured.
True.
I still think that's a better defense than what I've seen from the Bears all season long. So I'm on the other side.
Okay.
A lot of it just has to do with Josh Jacobs finally being 100%, Jordan Love getting an extra week from that concussion. But to Vinny's point, looks like the Bears might get Roma Dunze back. So that would be huge for them too. And also cornerback Kyler Gordon. So he's missed the last 5 weeks. So, we'll see who's healthier and
especially
who's
in these games, and this is a classic example. Pay close attention to the actives and inactives when they come out on game day.
Yeah.
Really, you know, sometimes you have to wait. Now, again, if you're playing a particular number or price, obviously, but either way, you want to pay very close attention to the actives and inactives.
And the weather in this one.
And
You guys have definitely dropped this total, if I'm not mistaken, 46.5 down to 44.5.
Down 2 points,
Because of the weather concerns. So really wind is the big thing. So if you're seeing wind, then be cautious. But I've also heard a lot of people still think they're going to see points because, I mean, really, this Bears offense has been clicking. It's the defense.
True.
We saw them look really good against San Francisco.
I'm looking at it's 90% chance of rain. I don't have the wind advisory, but listen, it's called the Windy City, you know, so we expect that. You know, by the way, Charlotte, I think was 100% chance of rain.
Was it?
For tomorrow. So, you know, weather could play a factor. I said the rain is often accompanied by wind. You know, snow, not so much, but rain is, you know, so that's a big thing.
Just it feels chilly out there too. The other thing, though, I will say, Chris, about LaFleur is maybe hasn't gone very far as he should have in the playoffs, right? Fell a little short with these teams, but him and Jordan Love as a duo have been very good early on in the playoffs in the first or second round. And if you go back to 2 years ago with that huge upset over that Dallas Cowboys team,
right? That was monster. Yeah.
And so I think I'm more banking on them being able to flip that switch and the experience as opposed to Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, both first time being in this spot.
You know, along those, I think you talk about LaFleur and his longevity. I think the Packers just lost either their GM or president of operations. He went to Miami.
I think
he's going to be the GM.
It was a high up. I'm not sure. He's been there for like 20 years. Oh, by the way, Chambliss got his extension denied.
I did see that.
Yeah, that's kind of backwards, but yeah.
The good thing is the NCAA doesn't ever really win any of these cases, so they are going to try and fight it.
Yeah,
I imagine that they would, but
I hope he wins it because I don't like little quarterbacks. I'm not sure he'd be a great pro. I love the kid as a college quarterback. I'm not sure he'd be a great pro. Although I love the kid. Boy, just you see him interviewed and his family, and just seems like such a good kid.
We'll see. I think he will probably get another year. All right, let's go to Sunday's game. We've got a triple header here for Wild Card Weekend, starting off with the Bills and Jacksonville. Speaking of a coach who I think might be on the hot seat, Chris, kind of worried about Sean McDermott if he doesn't get past this round or any further. So I think each game kind of coaching for his job here. It's a pick 'em. Total's 52. I'm staying away. I'm just going to watch this one because I really have no strong feel, no strong opinion. I think those numbers are just right.
Well, I made Jacksonville a very slight favorite, but again, not enough for me to bet. And by the way, there's no weather. This is the one place where there is no weather issues at all. Not surprising. It's Jacksonville, Florida. But I think McDermott might be, on the line a little bit.
Yeah.
I just think this is a tough game. Like I said, my pure numbers come to Jacksonville 1.5. But then you got to think, really no playoff experience for Jacksonville per se. Quite a bit of experience for the Buffalo team. They lost some real heartbreakers, and we always go back to that one where they had the lead with 13 seconds to play, and Mahomes takes them down and gets the tying field goal, and then they lose in overtime. But I think there's been a modicum of success for Buffalo. But I do agree with you. I think his job may be on the line because I think they feel that this could be Josh Allen's best shot without Lamar Jackson, without Mahomes. And yeah, they're on the road, but I think at the beginning of the year, we looked at it, we had them penciled in as the best team in the AFC. They clearly were not. But once you get to the playoffs, we're starting all over. So if they win this one, and then they got one more to win, and then all of a sudden you're looking at the potential Super Bowl berth. So, we'll see what happens. But I don't like it. Like I said, pure numbers come to Jacksonville, but I'm not sure my pure numbers are better than the actual pick 'em in this game.
More coaches got on the hot seat when John Harbaugh got fired. Yeah. I mean, he's going to have his pick. I don't think Miami. McDaniel got fired once Harbaugh made his announcement. That's another conversation. But I don't know. Is there a scarier wild card team than the Bills? Maybe the Rams. I mean, think about it, right? You kind of you have to Chrissy's point. Now they've got to get some healthy some players back as well. But as long as you have Josh Allen's in the game, they're never out of a game, right, no matter what the score is. So, if you look at recent and again the Bills, they're haunted by that 13-12 loss a few weeks back to the Eagles, right? Where the way they lost that game, and credit the Eagles there, but the way they lost that game was I think kind of sticks in their craw. Jags won and covered the last 8 games. What a roll this team is on. Did they play the stiffest competition down that road?
They beat some good teams.
But they did. Yeah, they did. They did beat some good teams. So they've earned this spot. The Bills' recent form. What 5, 7? They went 5 of 7. I mean, they or 6 out of 7 with 5 covers. So that one, the Philly loss was kind of what killed them. But and Josh Allen played 1 snap last week to keep his streak going. But yeah, it's. I think this is going to be a pretty good two-way betting game, Chris. Really, I think there's going to be support for both teams.
I got to imagine this will be a pretty big handle here.
Yeah,
support on both sides. I will just say for Jacksonville, second most snaps against backup quarterbacks. We'll get to the team that played the most here soon. So not ridiculously easy schedule, but just kind of things played out for them the last few weeks. But you can't take away that they hosted Justin Herbert and embarrassed him in the Chargers, and then went to Mile High and dominated the Broncos.
Yep.
Those were their starting quarterbacks and their full team. So they have some good wins in there.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence had a great year,
yeah.
No doubt. His best, I think.
They're also the number 1 run defense right now. They have not allowed any running back 70-plus yards, and they played Jonathan Taylor twice.
Really? Is that right?
And now you got James Cook coming in, who is the 2025 rushing leader. So we'll see. It's kind of strength on strength there, but should be a really good one to kick off your Sunday morning there. All right, let's keep it moving here. This is a tough one to handicap too. NFC here, the Niners, we know their injury problems. Go into Philadelphia to take on the defending champions. Right now, it's just been moving up for the Eagles. They're a 5-point favorite here.
5.5 now.
Just moved to 5.5 now on the Eagles. So some news really quick. Left tackle Trent Williams back at practice, limited yesterday. We'll see how that pans out. Defensive tackle Jalen Carter for the Eagles, huge part of last year's Super Bowl success. 2-time Super Bowl offensive tackle Lane Johnson. Both of them are practicing as well. So looks like if all goes well, all 3 of them will be back, which will make this even tougher in the trenches. But you're seeing why. Low total here, 44.5. What are you thinking? You think that's numbers getting a little too high?
I definitely think it's getting a little too high. And you talk about Lane Johnson and Carter. I got to tell you, neither one of them's had a great year. I mean, of course you want them back. But they're back as what? I mean, you're thinking back to like last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever. I don't think they're the same players. Oh, yeah, injuries has a big part of it. Now, maybe next year they're back in full force 100%. But I think you're just penciling them in and saying, whatever their rating is, it's going to be exactly that when we go in. I don't think that's going to be the case. That's why I think this number's gotten a little too high. And listen, I talked about it yesterday with Kaluch. That the Philly organization is a tremendous organization. You go back to even when they won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. They've won Super Bowls. That's been ever since. Help me out. What's the name of the owner? Lurie has been the owner. They've had a fantastic organization. I'm not sure this is like one of their best teams. And I would say about the Niners too. And I know they've been denied Super Bowl wins lately, but even you go back to when Jim Harbaugh was a coach there, and he took Colin Kaepernick to the Super Bowl. Now, Kaepernick had some great years. He really did, but he was evidently a very flawed quarterback in a lot of ways. I think this is also a tremendous organization. They've overcome so much, and I think we got to look at Robert Saleh, who's the assistant coach, kept that defense together, losing his two best players. So they're kind of used to it, I think, by this point. I think this number has just creeped up a little too high at 5.5. I mean, I haven't seen, they haven't slowed this thing down yet. I mean, if it got to 6, is he showing 6 up there?
Yeah.
Did we go to 6, Sean or Drew Dog? Well, hell, we got bet again then. Okay.
There you go.
When I left, it was 5.5. So, I guess we're up to 6. But I mean, that just looks too high to me. And I understand the Niners have injuries. I understand that. But they've been having injuries all year. And, I don't know. I think this number's gotten too high. Yeah, I made, again, pure power rating number. I made it 3, which I know is a little too low because you always have to ask yourself, what's the next number? Is it 2.5? Is it 3.5? Well, evidently it was 3.5. And putting injuries in, even though my power rating came to 3, power rating is a place to start. I really thought like about 4 was the right number. But here we are up to 6. That's a lot of points. This is not going to be one of my official plays, but I definitely like the Niners plus a 6.
I think Jalen Phillips is playing also, is practicing this week for the Eagles as well, who was a big pickup midway through the season or earlier in the season from the Dolphins before the Dolphins went on their run, if I'm not mistaken, Alex. Look, I think that as a pro team, the Niners can handle what happened last week with that loss to Seattle as professionals better than a college team. The other part, though, is Philly streaky all year, right? When you look at them, but they've played some. I think they've played their best ball in the last few games overall. And again, I'll go back to, I'll reference that game against the Bills. Yep. In Buffalo, where they grinded out that 13-12 win, which was a big win for them. So, again, I think Chris brings up a point. And we're never at a loss for 49er money, and I think now the fact that it's gone up a point in less than 24 hours, and now we're sitting at 6. Well, I think some folks are saying, well, wait a second, can the public is just going to get driven even higher? Maybe I can get more. And if that's the case, then I think we'll certainly see some.
By the way, I just checked. It's a blanket 6 everywhere.
So there you go.
So whatever the move was, it moved everywhere.
Yeah. So, but here it is. And again, you know what else, Alex? When you look at this game, now we're starting to get into carryover territory, right? And let's remember, last night's college game, tonight's college game, and there's 3 games before this one in the pros between Saturday and this one on Sunday. Now you're starting to see where carryover will impact the number for sure. And I think weather in Philadelphia for Sunday may. I know there's everything we had here the last couple of days is certainly moving across the country.
Would this be the best upset of the weekend, Vinny? Knock out a bunch of moneyline parlays here. That's what you guys are looking for, right? You want one.
You need one. Listen, as a bookmaker, you need one dog to win outright. With 8 games of these magnitudes. Yeah.
By the way, I'm looking 100% chance of rain in Philly.
There you go.
Saturday.
So
anyway.
Well, it kind of makes it kind of evens it out a little bit, doesn't it?
That certainly helps the dog.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, points. Points are more. Points tend to be more valuable, right, with inclement weather.
I think so. Yeah, but the market's telling me otherwise.
Yes, it is. I know that's the one thing that really scares me off of that one. I really want to back the Niners here. CMC. I mean, of all the injuries we're talking about, he's played more games than we've seen.
He's been terrific.
And he has been terrific.
He really has.
Run game, receiving game, whatever they need him. So.
Yeah, he's been terrific.
Yeah.
And listen, Shanahan's done a great job, and he knows how to put together a running game. I don't know, this number
coach
to me
advantage, right, Chris? Here,
I would say so. I would say, but I mean, you can't deny Sirianni too much. He does have a Super Bowl under his belt.
And he does have Vic Fangio.
He has Vic Fangio, who's had a lot of success, right, defending Shanahan. So
yes, that too. All right, well, nightcap on Sunday. It's a good one here. We got the Chargers going to Foxborough. The Patriots, the 2 seed, they are hosting a playoff game here with Drake May. He had an outstanding year. We don't know who's going to win MVP, but he's definitely in the conversation with Matthew Stafford there. 3.5-point favorite. Not a lot of movement on this one, Vinny. Total 45.5. Interesting, right? This is the one that really we haven't seen you guys. You guys did jump off of it for a second, touch to 4, maybe?
I don't even remember. But
really, I mean, it's been sitting there pretty steadily at that 3.5.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of movement here, Alex. I mean, we know that the Chargers obviously rested everybody last week. In fact, they lost they closed out against Houston and Denver and got beaten both games. Every team has to deal with injuries. I'm not so sure that a team had to deal with as many key injuries, certainly as the Chargers did this year, and they did a great job. Probably maybe the Niners, you can make a case. I mean, but here they are, both teams in the playoffs. Speaks to their quality of coaching, quality of the organizations, and the players. Pats, what a terrific story under Vrabel. Now, you could say that they didn't, play. It's a team that lost 2 of their first 3 games. Then they go on to see they only lost 1 game the rest of the way. Now, some people say they didn't have the toughest schedule, but you know something? They still played teams that are in the playoffs. They played at least 4 teams in the postseason, and I think they beat all 4 of them. So, so the Chargers only lost one division game, and it was last week. Did you know that the Chargers had the best AFC West division record? They were undefeated going against Denver last week.
I did not realize that. Vinny.
So you look at these 2 teams and you say, wow, against quality opponents, they did really well. So this is a game I think, sure, as the Sunday night game, it will have carryover impact. The carryover will impact it, but so far, pretty good action on both sides.
I do want to say, you look up and down these 6 games. We have great coaches really everywhere. Every coach you could say. Now, I don't know that much about Dave Canales from Carolina, but you just see the results of what he's actually done this year. He's really had that team improve. But up and down this lineup, it's hard to find like a coaching mismatch in any way. And here's 2. I think. Listen, I love Vrabel. I talked about it yesterday. I've loved him from Ohio State when the Steelers drafted him, and couldn't believe it when they cut him. But I've been a fan of Vrabel ever since then, and I think he's done a terrific job, and especially he's done one this year. You look at Jim Harbaugh, and I know he's kind of a weird guy, but the guy can win some football games. I mean, going all the way back to the University of San Diego, not San Diego State, University of San Diego. And he certainly helped, like Andrew Luck in his career. Kaepernick, he made into a star, And I think this was the perfect guy to get Justin Herbert up to that next level. We've talked about it all year. Just a little notch below the best guys. Well, this is a time for him to prove himself. And, Drake May, he may be the MVP this year. Look at the improvement he's had since last year. When we talk about the Patriots schedule, The reason they had such a easy schedule this year is because they were so poor last year. That's just the way the NFL works it.
Right.
But it really worked to their favor. But, sometimes you have things go to your favor and it doesn't work out.
Right.
I look at like the Arizona Cardinals. They had an easy schedule too. Well, their coach got fired. Tennessee had an easy schedule. Their coach got fired. So you could be handed a platter with, some great meals on it, and then you could have Shorty, the cook from, the diner down the street, cooking it. It ain't going to come out so good. It's not going to come out as good as Michael's, even though you might have the same ingredients. But he's done a hell of a job here. Both coaches. I made the number 3. So I guess gun to my head, I'd probably take the Chargers. But I think, again, I said, well, you got to look at the next number. When you make a number, what's the next number? Would it be 2.5? Well, no, it wouldn't be 2.5. So 3.5 is the next number. Now we're at 3.5. The next number 4 or 3? I don't know. That's why I think 3.5 is a very good number. Gun to my head, I'd probably take the Chargers, but this should be a great game. And to tell you the truth, I think they're all going to be great games, but this should be a really good one here.
I'm with you. If I probably will end up betting the Chargers, probably on the money line here too, to pull off the upset. There is a narrative with Justin Herbert. He's 0-2 straight up in ATS on the road in the playoffs. That wasn't, last year was under Jim Harbaugh, but so those two went through that together. I think they'll be prepared for this one. If any team needed to rest their starters, it was them for week 18. So
yeah, they had a lot of injuries during really the whole year.
Right, but they really worked through them. Especially with that O-line, that's one of the toughest units to try and maneuver, right? We kind of just counted them out. Didn't think they'd be able to get to the playoffs. In Justin Herbert's career as an underdog, 18-12-1 ATS, so very good. And road or neutral site, 14-6 as an underdog against the spread, that is. So that would benefit taking the points rather than on the money line. But just another thing I'm going for with the experience. These two have been there, done it. It's new for Drake May and Vrabel being here in this spot and hosting a game. So the other thing is the defense. And we saw it last year, right? When Harbaugh got there, he didn't want to put too much on Justin Herbert. It was all defense and run.
Sure.
And they were really good. They snuck into the playoffs. This year, he opened it up a lot. But in the last 6 weeks or so, this Chargers defense looks a lot more like last year. Let me find the actual number here. 17 points is the average in their last 6 games.
Wow.
So I'm also gonna put that. I'm going under 46. Both of these teams play slow. We've got the 3rd slowest and the 5th slowest. Both of them about 30.5 seconds per play. So I'm gonna take a shot at that under here, kind of trying to pick and choose the best ones.
More bad weather,
I'm sure, but I'm not concerned. This is a team I think that is more built for playing in the cold, right? With the Chargers, I think that is Jim Harbaugh's kind of.
Pretty sure, right? It's going to kind of be like not far. Obviously, a little north of Philly. I think the weather's.
I think you are correct, and I could be wrong. New England could keep rolling here. It's been a great year for them, but expecting a good, hard-fought battle there. All right, I put Steelers 3.5 on my board, but that is no longer available. So I'm gonna have to go with Steelers +3 here at home. Monday night, final game of the wild card weekend, hosting the Houston Texans. We all know one of the best defenses in the league here, coming off a tough showing where they really gave up a lot of points to Riley Leonard and the Colts, but I'm sure they'll be prepared for this one. Vinny, how quickly did they take that 3.5? And did you guys get some buyback here? Are people laying the 3 now with the Texans?
It's a
little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. I know this, and Chris can probably confirm this. The priest that sprinkled the holy water in the end zone last week. I heard that they sent him a limo and he's got a luxury box for this game, which they should, right?
And he'll be back doing the same thing pregame.
Look, I'll let Chrissy take the majority of this one. I think it's a follow up to an exciting game, right, on Sunday night with the Ravens and the Steelers. And again, look, there's obviously a lot of controversy about coaches, but I'll tell you what, your boy just continues to win, and every year they finds a way. Now I know the Steelers are looking to end a postseason drought in terms of victory games, but Tomlin's got him here. DK Metcalf being back for the Steelers is huge. He almost, I could tell you this, him being out the last 2 weeks seriously impacted the Steeler offense. So him being back, he gets a reprieve. So he's going to have to produce in this one. Again, we talked about it. What a terrific job by D'Amico Ryan and this coaching staff and the players to respond to an 0-3 start. It's very rare that a team gets off to an 0-3 start and finds a way to get to the postseason. So, this one, this is the game that's going to wrap up the weekend. The weekend started last night with the Miami and Mississippi game, and now what a way to wind up, buddy, with your Steelers hosting the Texans here.
I'm going to make this an official play. I like the Steelers plus a 3. I went back in and looked at some numbers. That, and I know I've been saying it. I say it all the time. I've been saying it for 30 years. Teams never as good or as bad as they looked last week. So I tried to throw out that Houston defensive performance against Riley Leonard. But, the fact is, it is what it is. He did it. I look back and again, this is, I think they should be the favorite. Houston should be the favorite, but 3 is just too much.
A lot of points.
So I'm going to, I wish I'd have come out earlier in the week and taken the 3.5, but I'm going to take the Steelers plus the 3. I think that I think they're going to hang in there, and I think they got a great chance to win the game. And I think, again, you talk about an experienced quarterback with Rodgers, and I don't see him getting rattled. He's really kind of fit in with this Steeler team. And a lot of guys are asking me, do you want Rodgers back next year? Yeah, I want him back next year. I hope they draft somebody who can be a quarterback of the future. I wanted him to draft Shuck last year, but who's going to listen to me? But I hope they draft a quarterback this year. But, Rodgers, he knows he's at the end of his career, but I think he's fit in really well with this team. It's kind of what this team needed. You're talking about they had, Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph, who's like, okay, these were the quarterbacks that Tomlin's had since Big Ben retired. I think this was certainly the best of the bunch, and he's played well. He's not the same as he was. You could see he had that one play last week. I forget exactly when it was, but it looked like the old Rodgers would have ran for a first down easily. And this time, just not there. But I still think he's the right quarterback for the right situation right now in Pittsburgh. And I like them plus the 3 here. And I think they got a hell of a chance of winning the game. And I think it's going to be hard to beat them by more than 3 points.
This is our final option for our NFL poll here. So if you are watching live, go ahead and get in your favorite of these. We are going with money line for the dog. So Steelers plus 130 is on there. Chargers plus 165. 49ers 2-1 to beat the Eagles. And Panthers plus 450. That is your long shot there. Because they do say with the wild card, right? If the dogs are going to cover,
going to win.
It's a good shot that they're going to win that game outright. So
I don't know if I'd be taking Carolina to win. Yeah. That's a big stretch.
Yeah, to do that twice in 1 year, everything kind of had to go right for them that first time. So I did read that Rodgers in that fourth quarter, his passer rating 130.9.
Wow.
The other thing is he gets the ball out really quick, right?
He still can do that. Yes,
been his thing, and so as good as this defensive front is, that might help them a little. I like the under as well, so I've got Steelers. I also am betting that first half under, which follow me on X at Alex White with 2 E's because I will be putting that video out shortly. Both of you too handles Andrews at Andrews Sports.
You got 2 E's. I got 2 S's in the middle. Andrews Sports.
Andrews Sports, 2 S's in the middle, 2 E's at the end of mine, and then Vinny by the book.
2 N's.
2 N's. There we go.
And book is BOO.
And 2 O's. There we go.
So I got 2 official plays.
2 official plays. We didn't get you a whiteboard. We should have.
I don't need a whiteboard. Carolina plus 10.5. Steelers plus 3. I have a couple other leans. Leaning towards the Niners. Leaning towards Chicago. I'm going against you. But like I said, I'm not crazy about that one. So
2-way action at the desk. I love it.
He does. It's kind of a feeling too with the Packers here. So Packers, and I like the fact that they lost the last game to them. So Packers under 46 in the Chargers and the Patriots and the Steelers +3. So we got one of the same today. Oregon, Indiana, and I do have one hockey play over 5.5 for the Blues and the Utah Mammoth. Vinny, how about those Blues? It's kind of hard to watch Jordan Binnington really struggle like this, but
Refused to come out of the game the other night. That was there's something is amiss. Yeah. Although he swears he didn't, but coach is waving him out.
But he didn't see.
Gave up 7 goals. He didn't see the back because in the arena the backup can't sit with the backup goalie can't sit with the team.
Right.
So the coach says, "Son's back. Hey, you got to go in the game." But meanwhile, you're pulling him with 7 minutes to go when when was it 7-2?
Yeah.
And the coach is waving it. And Bennington's standing. He's on the net. He's going, "No, I'm not coming out."
I mean, you think if you give up 7 goals, you couldn't wait to
Right?
get out of there.
So where were you? Where was? How about when it was 4?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Couldn't have saved me.
I don't know what's. Yeah, things are going.
I know you're a little young, but when Patrick Waugh was playing with Montreal, I think he gave. I don't even think it was 7. I think it was 6. And he said, "I'm done with Montreal because they didn't pull him." I mean, he said, "I obviously wasn't having the right night."
Yeah.
And they wouldn't take me out. So they were.
Yeah.
But they made him like a scapegoat.
Yeah.
They'll be probably. I don't know how active they're going to be at the trade deadline, Alex, but there are going to be a lot of inquiries of the Blues come to trade deadline. That's for sure.
Vinny, what do you think? Let's see Vegas tomorrow hosting St. Louis, so they'll be on a back-to-back.
Oh.
Well, and the Blues beat them in overtime. They typically play 1 goal or 2 goal game. They play the Knights and the Blues typically play pretty close games, Alex. But the Knights right now, although they're dealing with quite a few injuries to key players, McNabb, who's their Iron Man, is now on IR. Carlson's still on the IR. We have to see what happens, how serious the heart injury is in goal. But Schmid came in last night and did a great job. And as long as Mark Stone's in the lineup, I mean, he's scored 6 straight in 6 straight games. Theodore has begun to skate, as well as Aiden Hill. But I mentioned McNabb and William Carlson, who does a lot of little things. Is still on the IR for them. So Knights just need to keep navigating. And I think all of these close games, Alex, will bode well for them as they migrate into the spring, getting some younger players time and really helping their depth. But all that said, they're going to need to play much better against the Colorados, the Dallases, the Minnesotas, and a lot of Eastern Conference teams, starting with Carolina and Washington and Tampa before the playoffs begin.
You just reminded me I need to reach out to Lou Finicaro so he can join us because starting to look at those overtime losses and the way he bets post-season or playoff hockey and
does
looking
a
at
great
some of those
job.
futures.
Gamblou, you love him.
Yeah.
I think you guys moved your Knights number. We were talking about it yesterday. It did drop a little bit, so somebody might have come in here and bet them a little bit here at the South Point. But all right, let's check in with the chat. I do see Vinny, somebody responded about your holy water. They're saying that the Steelers, and they're a Steelers fan, they're going to need gallons and gallons of
gallons
to beat this Texans team. So one of those Steeler fans a little bit nervous there. I won't say his name.
We're always nervous.
Okay, for the winner, for our alternate lines here for the Peach Bowl between Indiana and Oregon, the chat likes Oregon, -3.5. That won 39% of the votes at +250. That's also the best price you can get. So a lot of times our regulars, they like the value. That might have the best value there.
Love our regulars in the chat. I love all people in the chat. They do. It's nice that they're with us.
Here's your outright upset for a dog for your wild card weekend. And this is wildest of the wilds. It was the 49ers at 2-1 on the road in Philly, getting 40% of the votes
right.
in that one. I wouldn't mind seeing the Eagles knocked out
You don't want
already.
to sweat
too.
everything until Monday.
Right.
Listen, I'm going to be
Midday.
sweating Monday regardless.
Oh.
Very good. Okay, looks like the chat was pretty active. as it has been lately, so we appreciate all of you. We will go through those questions. Vince does a great job, though, keeping us up to date. We've got your 2 official plays. Gave out mine. I think my checklist is good for the day. Crew, thank you so much. And Jerry, Sean, Vince, Drew Dog, Ryan, we'll see you again Monday. Really, Sean and Andrew, thank you for getting us going here today. For Vinny, for Chris Andrews, I'm Alex White. Thanks for watching, everyone. Good luck. Enjoy the football weekend. We'll see you again Monday here on Sports by the Book.